Akita Gopinath. I'm a consultant diabetologist and physician, a faculty of Sree Balaji Medical College Hospital. I have various publications, both international and national, in my name. I'm also a contributing author to Textbook of Adolescent Medicine. Today we are going to talk about an interesting topic called Nephritic Syndrome. So let's move on to today's session. Today we are going to talk about the pathogenesis of nephritic syndrome, clinical features on how to recognize the entities, and also an evidence-based management of nephritic syndromes. So what is nephritic syndrome? Nephritic syndrome represents a distinct clinical complex resulting from a glomerular inflammation that disrupts the normal kidney function. So unlike the nephrotic syndrome, which primarily affects protein handling, this is classified by inflammatory damage to the glomerular capillaries. Now, this inflammation process leads to a constellation of clinical features that distinguishes it from other renal pathologies. So some of the cardinal features of nephritic syndrome include hematuria, oliguria, hypertension, red cell casts, mild proteinuria, and edema. The clinical presentations include presentation of a cola-colored urine. This is due to gross hematuria that causes the urine to turn a smoky red in color. And then there is a decreased urine output and azotemia, that is an elevated blood urea creatinine and impaired renal functions. Now there are basically three mechanisms of glomerular injury that leads to this nephritic syndrome. The first one is an immune complex mediated, that is a circulating antigen antibody complexes that deposit in the glomerular membrane, causing a complement cascade to get activated. The second one is the anti-GBM antibody, that is a direct attack against the glomerular basement membrane antigens. Third is a cell mediated, that is T cell and macrophage infiltration. Now all these three mechanisms converge to a common final pathway leading to a glomerular inflammation, complement activation, and structural damage. So coming to immune complex mediated injury, as we discussed, there is a circulating antigen antibody complexes. They become trapped in the glomerular capillaries, which activates the complement system and trigger an inflammatory process. Examples include post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. Then anti-GBM antibody mediated is autoantibodies they directly target the intrinsic antigens within the glomerular basement membrane. The characteristic immunofluorescence findings are linear deposits along the GBM. Examples include Goodpasture syndrome, which affect both kidneys and lungs. Coming to classification of glomerular diseases, they are classified as primary glomerular diseases and secondary. The primary include the diseases that are defined or that are confined to the kidney without any systemic involvement. Those include the post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, IgA nephropathy, rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis, and membranoproliferative glomerulosclerosis. Secondary glomerular diseases are renal manifestations of systemic conditions like ANCA-associated vasculitis, Goodpasture syndrome, SLE, and Hinox-Conley purpura. And also the glomerular disease spectrum can be nephritic, that is proliferative, and non-proliferative, which is nephrotic. We also need to discuss a key distinction between nephritic versus nephrotic. Nephritic syndrome, there is a inflammatory damage to the glomerular capillaries. So the hallmarks include red blood cell casts, like hematuria, oliguria, edema, hypertension, all of those. Whereas nephrotic syndrome is characterized by a podocyte injury, wherein there is heavy proteinuria, hypoalbuminemia, hyperlipidemia, and severe edema. So coming to a summary of the nephritic syndrome pathophysiology is a glomerular inflammation characterized by decreased GFR, which leads to hematuria, sodium retention leading to edema and hypertension. The prototype of an acute nephritic syndrome is the post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, which is the most common type of nephritic syndrome, which is typically seen in children in the age group of 2 to 12 years. The infection sites include pharyngitis or pyoderma, skin infection. All these will precede the renal manifestation. Coming to clinical presentations of PSGN, it includes the constitutional symptoms like low-grade fever, malaise, a general feeling of unwellness, then urine. Obviously, there is a cola-colored or smoky-colored urine, periorbital edema, and a mild hypertension. The diagnostic workup or investigations that you have to do are blood tests, which will show an elevated ASO titers, decreased complement, and azotemia. Urine analysis will show a red blood cell casts, dysmorphic RBCs, and mild proteinuria. Renal biopsy can be done if indicated, and then light microscopy immunofluorescence will show granular IgG and C3 deposits. Management includes supportive care like bed rest, sodium retention, fluid management, and loop diuretics, antibiotics to eradicate streptococcal infection, antihypertensives. Some of the interventions that you can do are dialysis and immunosuppression. It has an excellent prognosis with more than 95% complete recovery in children, whereas it has a variable course with adults. The complications of nephritic syndrome include a rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis, pulmonary edema, hypertensive encephalopathy, and acute renal failure. Coming to the important or the more aggressive variant which requires an urgent intervention is the rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis. Now this represents a clinical emergency where there is a rapid loss of the renal functions over days to weeks, and without prompt treatment this might even end up in an end-stage renal disease. Again, by immunopathology, RPGN is classified as type 1, that is anti-GBM, type 2 immune complex, and type 3 posse-immune. Clinical features include gross hematuria, moderate proteinuria, oliguria, uremic symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and hypertension. The distinguishing features of some entities that come under this rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis include Goodpasture syndrome, where there is a pulmonary hemorrhage leading to hemoptysis. There is vasculitis, SLE. All these will have multi-system involvement. Again, the workup or the diagnostic workup for RPGN include complement levels, where there is a decreased C3, C4. Then autoantibody is like anti-GBM type 1, ANCA. Renal biopsy, when done, will show crescents in the Bowman space. And again, CT for pulmonary renal syndromes can be done. Treatment approach includes supportive therapy like fluid balance optimization, infection control, antihypertensive, and dialysis for uremic complications. Immunosuppressive therapy include corticosteroids, methylprednisolone, 500 to 1000 mg per day IV for 3 days, followed by an oral prednisone taper, cyclophosphamide, plasmapheresis, and biologics like rituximab. Complement patterns in glomerulonephritis include low complement and normal complement. Now we are coming to the end where we talk about key takeaways, that is nephritic versus nephrotic. Again, nephritic is an inflammatory damage to the glomerular capillaries, whereas in nephrotic there is a heavy proteinuria due to a podocyte injury. PSGN is the prototype, where it is a classic acute nephritic syndrome with excellent prognosis, whereas RPGN or rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis is the aggressive variant which requires an urgent prompt management. Now diagnosis is basically through investigations like complement levels, autoantibody panels, immunofluorescence patterns, and renal biopsy. And the most important thing to remember is early treatment saves the kidney. That is, prompt initiation of the supportive care and immunosuppressive therapy will significantly improve the renal outcome and prevents progression to a chronic kidney disease. So that's it for today's session. Hope to meet you all in the next class. Thank you.